I'm Gary Null, back in a moment with my guest. Please stay with us. Nice to have you with us, everyone. Let's say hello to Gerald Celente, one of today's pioneers in trend strategy. He founded the TrendsResearchInstitute in Kingston, New York, and is the publisher of the TrendsJournal. And he has been so accurate on so many things he has predicted. And in the recent TrendsJournal, he goes through this. Nice to have you with us today, Gerald.
Oh, thanks for having me, Gary.
Gerald, when we look at other countries around the world, we're witnessing a dramatic rise in social and political turbulence. There have been popular citizen protests and demonstrations in Egypt, Turkey, Libya, Brazil, Argentina, Bulgaria, Thailand, and even Singapore. And the recent upsurge of protests in Ukraine, in particular, is noteworthy. And I want to get back to that. However, in the U.S., the population continues to do nothing. We are the do nothing, say nothing, speak nothing, unless there's something on television that bothers us. We just are very passive. Now, why? Why are we not speaking out on issues that are essential to our well-being, including police surveillance, militarization of our police, criminalizing everything? Why aren't we doing anything?
You know, it's a complicated answer. And in listening to what you were talking about before I got on the air, you know, one thing kept coming back into my mind. You know, why are our rights being taken away like this? What's going on? And I remember back in 2008, and it was the too big to fail bailouts of the banks. And I sent out a trend alert, and the headline read, D.C. heist, Washington hijacked by Wall Street. And I went on to say that, you know, people started complaining, particularly when Obama came in, oh, this is socialism, this is terrible what's going on. And I said, no, it's not. I said, this is fascism. It's the merger of state and corporate powers. It's a corporate takeover at every level. And that's what's going on. This is just, you talk about the militarization of the police. You talk about how they run over our rights. This is what goes on in a fascist government. And no one wants to call it that. But yet, as you led off with a piece about Chief Justice Scalia and about the possibility of another internment camp like in the Japanese. Well, hey, how about the National Defense Authorization Act that allows the President of the United States, or what we've become a banana republic, the President of Los Estados Unidos, to decide who of us that they would like to take away and kill without any jury, no judge, no charges. And this is on the books. And you know what's going on with these drones. They could kill American citizens. And now the debate is, well, can they kill American citizens at home with a drone? It's okay to kill them overseas. I mean, the immorality that we're looking at is really wrapped up in multinationalization. It's a multinational takeover. Again, you and I and many people listening out there are old enough to remember when, like in New York City, there wasn't a Dwayne Reed on every corner or a bank. There were little retail businesses. There were pharmacists. Isn't that a quaint word? Before CVS and Walmart and Dwayne Reed and the rest took it over. Look at the news now. Comcast is buying out Time Warner. Great. More of a consolidation of the communications industry. Again, there was no Clear Channel or Cumulus years ago. We could thank Bill Clinton for that one. Deregulating the communications industry, deregulating the Glass-Steagall Act that allowed the banks become robbing us in broad daylight. And then, of course, he's also responsible for NAFTA, taking our jobs out of the country. It's a multinational takeover. So when you're talking about all these other riots going on and demonstrations, it's all based upon that. That's what most of the people in Europe are fighting against, and it's particularly in Italy with the pitchfork movement. And then in Ukraine, as you well mentioned, this is a totally inspired U.S. propaganda move. And it isn't something that's, this is one of those conspiracy theorists. No, everyone heard the tape of the Undersecretary of State Nuland and the ambassador to the Ukraine, Pyatt, speaking about overthrowing the democratically elected, whether you like them or not, government of Ukraine. And with the assistance, by the way, of that shill not far from the studios down there at the UN Moon to be part of it. So what is it for? I mean, can anybody comprehend this? Oh, it's about the freedom of the people in Ukraine joining the European Union. Oh, yeah, join the European Union. You could become just like Greece. How about Spain? Maybe Italy, Portugal, or Ireland. Or you would love to have, youth unemployment on average in those areas are running about 40%. And you have unemployment in Greece and in Spain when the numbers aren't cooked around 30%, even with the cooked numbers. So this isn't about joining the EU. It's about the multinationals moving in there and raping Ukraine for its natural resources and anything else they could steal. It's a multinational takeover. Why aren't the people fighting back? Well, you mentioned it. It's a drug-cultured country. We're prescription drug to death. If I was growing up as a kid today, they would have had me whacked out on Ritalin a long time ago. So the people don't have the fight in them. Look at the foods that they eat. Look what the people look like. Look at the culture.
Gerald, a few quick answers on these, please. We have now absolute proof that the Federal Reserve has been manipulating the price of gold and silver. Silver is about $20. Gold is about $1,280. Where do you see this leading? Do you see that they're going to keep this bubble increasing through stock, through $500 billion in money that they are betting against? They don't even have to put up in. What do you see happening with Wall Street? What do you see happening with gold and silver and the value of the dollar in the next 12 to 24 months?
All right, it's very important to look at January. This was a terrible January. $3 trillion was lost in the equity markets. It was real. And it was unwinding going into the first week of February. And what happened in the first week of February is that they were waiting for the job numbers to come out on Friday. So the markets kind of paused for a while. And then the job numbers came out. This is very important. The job numbers came out, and they were expected to be 189,000 new jobs created according to consensus on Wall Street. The number came in at 113,000. The December numbers were 74,000. All the talk on Wall Street was they were going to be revised upward to around 200,000. That was according to this guy Zandy, who they quote a lot, and plus other economists. They were revised upward from 74,000 to 75,000. So they couldn't blame it on the weather. Now, I'm mentioning this because this is very important because you're talking about gold and silver being rigged. It's not gold and silver only, as you well know. It's a fact. This isn't speculation. The fact is that the Forex market, that's the currency markets, is rigged. They're fining people. Nobody goes to jail, of course. At the tune of, we're talking about rigging something at $5.3 trillion a day. That's what's traded on it. The LIBOR rate, the interest rates, a total of $700 trillion rigged. All right, let's go back to last Friday. These terrible numbers come out. The stock market shoots up double digits. The Federal Reserve Bank in New York has a trading desk on the floor. The whole game is rigged. All right, now this week, what happened was everybody was waiting for the new Fed chair person. That's what she know, Fed chair. She doesn't want to be called a Fed chair woman. She made it clear, or a Fed chair person. The new Fed chair, Yellen, came out, and they were waiting for her testimony before Congress. What she said basically was the tapering is going to continue, and if they need more dough, they're going to dump it in. So she said more of the same and nothing. The stock markets, boom, they went up over 200 points on nothing. And now you're seeing them pulling back again. Jim Cramer on CNBC, being interviewed on Yahoo 2 days ago, came out with a statement, this is not mine, it's his, a guy on the inside. The game is rigged. His language, it's rigged. It's rigged. So where is it going? What you're looking at around the world with the riots that you were speaking about in the protests, Turkey, it's all of the hot money that went into these countries because of the low interest rates and the stimulus is now pulling out. And their economies are declining rapidly. In Kazakhstan yesterday, they just devalued their currency by 20% because commodities aren't worth what they used to be, particularly oil, copper, because there's a slowdown worldwide. In Turkey, the lira is crashing at all-time lows. In trying to pump it up, they're raising interest rates at one time over 3%. That's unheard of. So you're raising interest rates in India, in Indonesia, in Brazil, in Argentina. You're raising interest rates dramatically as the economies are declining, which means, of course, it's going to make it more expensive to borrow money and make a bad situation much worse. How does this affect gold and silver? I believe that they're going to, after announcing they're going to taper, and they may taper again, you're going to see panic again hits the streets. That's why they all declined throughout January. And I believe that they're going to invent another stimulus program. They'll call it something else, maybe Yellenomics. And that's when you're going to see gold and silver prices rise again.
We're at the end of the program. One short answer. There has been nothing but a bubble in the economy now, the financial economy, for the last 3 years. Do you see this bubble continuing? Do you see these stupid numbers in Wall Street that didn't have nothing to do with reality continuing? Do you see this bubble starting to deflate anytime in the near future?
It's deflating now, particularly in the real estate markets out in the West. It has nothing to do with weather. This is an interest rate recovery. Interest rates, as I was mentioning, they're going up around the world. When interest rates go up, boom, this thing goes down.
How far down?
Oh, it's going to go down to levels that you saw in 2008. There's going to be panic on the streets. But again, they're going to try to cover it up by dumping more cheap dough into the system.
Do you see this happening this year?
Yes, I do. I believe it may even happen before the end of the second quarter of this year.
Okay. Gerald, thank you very much for being on, and thank you for TrendsJournal.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all you do.
I'm Gary Null, and that completes our program today. I want to thank everyone for listening.